Hi, I'm Ron Lewis from Uper 75 Golf Channel. Normally I do golf videos, obviously, on this channel, but today's a different story. I've got several episodes of my days as a young trout fisherman, and I had several near catastrophe episodes on my trout fishing days. This one's I've had about 9 different run-ins with black bears on several trips out on the trout stream. I fished mostly by myself. When I turned 16, when I turned 16 years old and got my driver's license, that's when I started fishing by myself on the trout streams up here in the eastern upper peninsula of Michigan. And it wasn't very enjoyable for me, except for the mosquitoes and the black flies, of course, and the tag aulers. You always had bunches of tag aulers to wade through to get to your fishing holes. And but this one's a very different video, because this one involves one of the first trips I made out on a trout stream when I was 16 years old. And the plan, I didn't have my own vehicle then, so the plan was my parents had a 27-unit motel and nine cabins, and on the lake shore of Whitefish Bay of Lake Superior. And we used to have a lot of friends and relatives come up and visit us and stay a week or two at a time or more. So this certain occasion, we had some relatives of relatives that came up and were staying in the motel. And the man's name, he was a middle-aged man. His name was Howard. It's been 60 years ago, so I don't remember what his last name was, and there's no family members left alive that does know what his name was. But anyway, his name was Howard, and somebody come up with the idea that me and Howard were going to go fishing, trout fishing, way out in a river called the Betsy River. And the spot we were going to try, we thought might be really good, that we didn't think anybody would fish or fishing in there very often, was the Betsy River. And it was probably 14 miles from Paradise, where I lived. I lived right on the shore. I'll show you here. This is a picture I drew up of Paradise, Michigan. Right here. This is Paradise, Michigan, right here. This is Lake Superior up here, and goes down. This is the Curly Lewis Highway on. This is Whitefish Bay. This is Lake Superior. This is where the Edmund Fitzgerald sunk. I don't know the exact year. Seems 75 rings, 1975 rings in my mind, but I'm not sure if that's the exact year. It was in the 70s, I know. The Edmund Fitzgerald sunk out here. There was 2 of them. There was 2 freighters going along in a bad storm up here. They were on the Canadian side of Lake Superior, and they were going to turn south when they got out in Whitefish Bay. And Whitefish Bay is much calmer waters down here. It's part of Lake Superior, but it's much calmer down in Whitefish Bay than it is out on the main lake. And over here is Sioux, Michigan, and Sioux, Canada across the bay. And anyway, this is the top of the Upper Peninsula right here. This is the Coleman River, and it runs out to the bay. And right here is Paradise. So the main highway in Paradise, Michigan was M123 highway at the time. So our plan was to go out here 5 miles or so to we used to call it the old prison camp road. There used to be an old prison camp right here in the corner after you turn right here. This used to be a prison camp, and for workers that worked on different projects. And then the road goes up here and branches to the right and to the left. And this left branch up here was known as the Maple Block Road. The Maple Block Road went up all the way to Lake Superior, or just short of it, just short of Lake Superior. And back here a few miles, the Betsy River crossed this road. So our plan was early in the morning somebody was going to drive us out. My dad had an old Jeep somebody had given him, an old Jeep pickup. And the plan was somebody was going to drive us out here and drop us off and then pick us up like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was going to be an all-day project. Me and this man named Howard. So I didn't have a car at the time. I had a driver's license, but I didn't have a car. So so somebody was going to drop us off in the old Jeep, and then we were going to fish all day, probably 8 or 9 hours, and then somebody was going to come back, and we were going to meet them in a field right there. There was a big field where we came in. There's this old road that came in. There was a big field, grassy field there, and they were going to pick us up there about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. This is in the summer, about this time of year. I'm not sure exactly of the month. It was, I don't know, it was 1966, and it was either June, July, or August. I imagine it was either July or August. And so that all went to fruition. They did what they planned to do. They dropped us off here about 8 in the morning and let us off, and they weren't going to come back till 5 or 6 in the evening. So me and Howard and I went in and found the river, and we started fishing. And I'll be darned, if it wasn't, it probably was within a half hour that I had a major accident. I was walking along. If you've ever been trout fishing in northern Michigan, you know it's nothing but tag aulers and nothing but tag aulers along the riverbanks. You got like a valley where the stream follows, and it's the rest out to, you go out. It's all tag aulers on both sides, and then there's higher banks. You climb up the hill to get out of the creek bed. I mean, you follow the creek bed on the trout streams all day long in the tag aulers. Well, anyway, it was within a half hour. I was walking along the bank, and we go from fishing hole to fishing hole. Usually we fish downstream. Sometimes I used to fish upstream, but this day we were fishing downstream. And so on this particular day, I was walking downstream. We were fishing alternately, you know. I was fishing above him, and then I'd move down, and he was fishing above me, and he would move down, and we'd follow the stream on two different sides of the creek if we could. And right away I stepped in a, if you ever been trout fishing in northern Michigan, you'll find out there's some big holes once in a while along the stream bank. The big holes sink down, and the creek water runs right under them. Well, this hole happened to be a big hole I stepped in, and there was a huge hornet's nest in it, and it was a disaster. I got stung dozens of times. And if you know anything about hornets or wasps, you don't want to get stung dozens of times. It could be life-threatening. I've known people that's died before from one hornet or one wasp bite. I've been bitten over the years, stung a half a dozen times or more, and I didn't consider that really dangerous. But this I just got stung dozens of times, and I was sick. We had a poor old Howard. Poor Howard. He had to come up and sit with me all day in that field. We were waiting for them to pick us up. They weren't going to pick us up for like another 8 hours. And he went out there, and the poor guy had to sit with me all day. And finally, it was a torturous day for both of us, I think. And so finally at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever time they were supposed to pick us up, finally somebody come along and picked us up, and we explained the situation, and they took us home, which is, like I said, it's about 14 miles home. It was 5 miles on the highway, and the rest of it was on dirt roads back here to the Betsy River. And so they got us home, and they explained the situation to my parents. We explained the situation to my parents, and I laid on the couch all night. I was so sick. I was just the sickest I ever been in my life. And so I laid on that couch off and on for 3 days. The next 3 days, after the day we come home, the evening we came home, I laid on that couch off and on for 3 days. I would crawl back and forth between my bedroom and that couch for 3 days. I was so sick. And, you know, everybody was worried because, you know, you get stung dozens of times by hornets or wasps, your life is in danger. Like I said, I've known people that got stung once by a wasp or a hornet and died. So anyway, I spent them 4 days recovering, and it took me 4 days altogether to recover from this episode. And so, like I said, we only fished a couple holes, so this turned out to be a major disaster for both of us, including Howard. I always appreciated Howard doing what he did for me. There's nothing he could do for me other than just let me lay there, and that's all he could do. He just had to wait another 8 hours for the pickup, and our pickup did arrive on time, 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm not sure which it was. You're talking 60 years ago. This is 60 years ago this happened. I was 16 years old at that time. I'm 75 now, and this episode could have ended my life, and but I was lucky. I survived this without any major repercussions, and